My whole world. Now I'd like to introduce our speaker, Rev Howard, who has so much wisdom on so many levels and so many layers of learning. I know he's going to impart something of great value to us today.
Nothing like pressure. Thank you. So, namaste and good afternoon.
Namaste.
So today I'd like to speak about mindfulness. Now, in the physical plane, mindfulness can be defined as being alert or being aware. And so it's really easy to recognize the need for that. Just walking around, we need to be aware. So we watch out for steps, we watch out for curbs, we watch out for little animals that are in our way, we watch out for things that some animals may have deposited, so we want to be aware as we move through the physical world. Now, most of us here came here by a car. Now, of course, it's most important to be mindful and aware when you're driving a vehicle. You have to be aware, A, is my vehicle in good shape to drive? And when you get out on the road, you look out for other drivers, any objects that may be in the road, pedestrians, the signals, so we have to be aware. But I don't know about you, but isn't it amazing how many people are not that way when they drive? It's scary. You can sit, and when you're driving along, I always look at people, as I'm observing what's going on. How many people drive with music blaring in their car, and you think, they can't even think. I can hear it over here. I'm 20 feet away from them. Or people that are together in a car, and they're all talking, and they're making hand gestures, or even worse, those who have cell phones and are talking and or texting. You now can get a pretty good sized ticket if you're caught on the phone. Just a couple of weeks ago, I was coming down 5th Street over here, going to work one morning, and there's a school between Craycroft and Wilmot. And so, you have to slow down for the crosswalks and everything. And as I'm slowing down, there's a car comes zooming up next to me, and I can see guys on the phone, hands like this. I'm like, well, what is he staring with? Probably his legs. And blows through the school area at about 50 miles an hour. And I was thinking, thank God there were no children or anything else over here. It would have been quite a disaster. So I also cycle. And there's a fantastic path for those of you who are cyclers that the city of Tucson has built, which is one of the most incredible ones in the entire United States. It goes around the whole outskirts of Tucson. It's about 110 miles. It goes all the way down south. And it's a beautiful path along the Pantano River Wash. And so you can, except for crossing one or two roads, you don't have to cross the roads. You can get on this thing and just cycle forever. Well, I'm also amazed when I take that path where there's people walking and jogging and with their kids and other cyclists, how many people have earbuds on and are listening to music or whatever and not paying attention at all. Many times I'll pass somebody that's walking, and as I pass them on my bike, they'll jump, and I'm like, of course, you couldn't hear me. You've got things in your ears. And I would ask myself, why? I understand some of it. Because for some people it's motivating, or they maybe get something that's got a beat going and they can walk and this and that. But I want to hear the sounds of the birds. I want to see what's going on. And when I ride, the smells, when you go through a low area, you smell a little mustiness, or you go through an area where the trees are in bloom, you can smell that. This time of year, very soon, we're going to start to hear the sound of the cicadas in the trees, and that's an amazing thing. That's nature. So I try my best to be aware of my environment when I'm out in it. It has much to teach us. I want to talk a little bit about what I call mental and emotional mindfulness. Now, most of us, I won't say all, but most of us do something which I call comparative thinking. We're always comparing ourselves to others. I know I do this. You see somebody that's in really good shape and you say, well, that person's in better condition than I am. Or you see someone that's out of shape and you say, well, I'm in better condition than them. You see someone that's dressed real nice and has a lot of nice jewelry. You say, well, they must have some abundance. They're dressed really nicely and they've got all this fancy jewelry, or they have a nice car, they have a nice house. So we do all this kind of stuff. We do all these comparisons all the time. Now, what this does is this leads to certain emotional states. So if you look at the negative aspect of it, when you're comparing yourself with others, you may feel disappointment, despair, sadness, jealousy, anger, hate. All of those things come under the title of fear. At the same point, if you look at it from a different perspective and you think that you're kind of like a little bit above it, it may lead to joy and happiness because you're saying, well, I've got it better than everybody else. So we go on this emotional ride with our emotions when we think about these things. So what we can do is, with our mindfulness, we can find a way to bring this into focus. And the way that we do this is what I call spiritual mindfulness, which I call soul awareness. So those of us, pretty much all of us in here, who are on what we call the path of developing and learning about ourselves, once we get to this point, we start to learn things about ourselves. One of the things we learn is that the universe is infinite and eternal, and that we are part of the universe, in which case we are infinite and eternal. We learn such things as compassion and love, not only for the people that we have in our life, but for all beings, all animals, all plants, all trees, Mother Earth herself. We open up our heart. We become aware of the things that go on in life. We have compassion. When we do this, we also then learn how we can kind of go back the other way and control, and it increases our mindfulness about our emotions and our reactions and our physical world, because we recognize that we are responsible for ourselves. We create our own reality, which is going to be the subject of my next talk, whenever that is. But we create our own reality, as we say in our opening statement, through our thoughts, our words, and our actions. And we also realize that not only do we create our own reality, but we basically touch into everybody else's lives around us, both right there and through the entire world and through the entire universe, by our thoughts, our words, and our actions. And so in which case, by being mindful, we become responsible. We know that when someone says something to us that we used to consider an insult or something, we have the skill now to let it go. Because as we teach here and we learn here, that if someone has something like that insulting, basically all it is a mirror. It's something within inside them that they have to work out, and they don't know how to do it within inside themselves, so they put it on somebody else. So we talk about building protection and doing all these other things. Well, it's really very easy. Just remember that you are who you are, and you don't have to be what somebody else is, and you don't accept those type of things. So mindfulness basically means that we focus on ourselves, and we focus on becoming the best that we can be in the spiritual world. So I'm not going to keep us long here, but I'm going to close today with a poem that I think is beautiful and expresses to me the whole idea about what mindfulness is about. To see the world in a grain of sand, and heaven in a wildflower. To hold infinity in the palms of your hand, and eternity in an hour. By William Blake. Thank you for your time. God bless.
Thank you, Howard. Very beautiful poem. I need to turn that up. And now it's time for our love offering.